Hi, this is Ashish R. Bidekar, and welcome to my podcast, The ARB Show. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Mohit. Mohit is the co founder of calls.ai, which is an advanced conversational AI. It sounds and completes tasks like humans. He also has interesting products like unomok, which is a notification infrastructure plus user engagement platform. Unotags, which is a loyalty and reward solution enabling B2B and B2C businesses to create loyalty programs. Thank you, Mohit, for being a guest on the show. I look forward to hearing your insights on top 5 trends in AI powered conversations. But maybe you just start with your brief introduction and then let's get straight into it. Over to you, Mohit.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Ashish, for inviting me over. Glad to be on the podcast as well, and a great initiative as to getting the trends. So, guys, this is Mohit here. I'm founder at calls.ai. We do human-like AI voice calls with very fast latencies and emotional speech. And these AI agents then perform tasks like human, like they browse web, they see videos, they see images, and complete the action. So that is what we are working on since for about last a year or so. And prior to that, I have with the same company, I have launched 2 products. We have done fairly good. I've been present in 70 plus countries, and we have a team of about 60 odd people with us right now, managing our 3 products in total. So yeah, that's in brief about me trying to just build and scale software products throughout the world, higher in quality and much like the focus is to create global scale software products which are used as much as possible.
Right. And in fact, as many people say, just like you had the generational AI trend, now the flavor of the town is agentic AI, right? Wherein agents are doing lots of stuff. And, conversations or sales conversation is something which is extremely important. And I think applications like yours can play a great role when you really have to do similar stuff. So really keen to understand more about calls.ai and then what you see are the major 5 trends in this area. Over to you, Mohit.
So yeah, the biggest trend which we are seeing as humans, it is difficult to do tasks which are very repetitive in nature, which have low gratification. For example, a person at a finance company calling a lot of people, asking them about loans and credit cards. I know we hate, no one likes to attend those calls, but there is maybe 1 in 20 people who actually gets converted, and that is the reason why these calls are happening. Now, living in the system where these calls will happen, for a human to do that L1 is really not the best of the jobs. Like I have spoken to many people, and they have told that that is not something which we enjoy doing. So I see the first thing which is happening is repetitive, not a lot of human intelligence type of work being replaced by AI agents which do human-like calls. So whoever is an interested customer, they can qualify them much better. But that is the first area which is getting disturbed is repetitive calling for sales or majorly for sales or ops related things where the idea is to qualify leads. That should ideally get replaced with AI pretty soon.
Got it.
And
So
we are already
on the same thoughts, if you just flip on the other side, so there are many places where there's a lot of inbound calls, right? So let's say hospitals or let's say call centers or similar things. So there also, do you see a lot of adoption of such agentic AI for answering, simple questions or simple queries or things like that? Because in many cases, the biggest peeve of customers is trying to get to someone and just explain the problem, right? It's a maze, and unless you have got tons of patience to really reach a person and get your problem solved, it's practically a very frustrating situation, and the whole system is broken. So do you see on that side as well, wherein there are agents who are taking inbound calls as well.
Yeah, so coming back to your original question, that which are the 5 areas or which are the 5 things which you get disturbed. So first is outbound sales, because it is very repetitive and very robotic in nature. The other 3 areas which would ideally be our target area is ops, inbound ops. Third would be customer support, and fourth would be multi-party interaction. For example, there are call centers which take your call, then have to call to some third party, get an answer from them, give that answer to you. So that is one area. And the fifth would be all of them working in sync to solve for the customer query. So these are 5 areas in the similar levels which would get disturbed. Level 1 is outbound sales, which is already happening. Level 2 is simple L1 queries related to appointment scheduling or pricing inquiry or opening hours, closing hours, these kind of database related inquiries, where normally it was getting solved by humans, should be replaced by AI. But the third and fourth, where a lot of work is happening now, is something which we are very bullish on, which is that complete customer support. So, for example, your payment didn't go through to Swiggy and you have not got the refund back. So that whole process is very tedious for you to land up to a human. I'm giving you the best case example where Swiggy actually has a bigger support team. But if you talk about a lot of other companies, they don't have. And that is the first thing which should get solved. Now the thing is, it's again multi-nature problem. One is it a business problem or is it a customer problem? Ideally, customers' problems should be business problems, but in practical situations, that is not what happens, because in service-related business, there are a lot of issues which you cannot solve. It is just out of your limits to solve them. So, which is why the business should adopt such solutions and such thinking that, okay, I want to talk to every customer, I want to solve every customer's problem, be it whatever it may, customer-centric approach. That is where those are the kinds of companies where we'll see higher adoption of AI agents. And slowly, when these companies adopt, the smaller ones or the non-technical ones would also start.
All right. So here, coming to your second query of inbound, inbound conversations or call management, right? So that you see as a big trend. So any specific use cases or interesting trends or interesting applications which you have seen, either your customers or something in the industry which would be of interest to the audience? And more interestingly, if you talk about the first use case, which is outbound calls. So any matrices in terms of what are the impact in terms of savings, what is the impact in terms of accuracy, or what's the impact in terms of the delta? What impact does it make to the business? So if you can share for all the 4 or 5 use cases that you mentioned, that would be something really interesting.
Yeah, in fact, we are pretty much. So to answer it, I would say we are still in the early days, honestly, to have a lot of impact. For example, this is a technology which was into research, coming into application, getting pilots in places. The idea is that it will do these things, but the impact on ground is still early days. No one is able to come up with it because like LLMs were released a year and a half back. Enterprise scale LLMs were released about a year and a half back. People have started using now, people have started finding use cases now. Enterprises are not so easy that, okay, this is a new technology, I'll start adopting it tomorrow. So impact is in numbers is still early. In terms of adoption across multiple use cases, we have seen a lot, because small businesses, mid-sized businesses, they tend to open up to newer technologies faster. And there we are seeing a lot of inbound appointment schedulings getting automated, inbound pricing inquiries, stock inquiries getting automated, and outbound sales is still the biggest use case, because that is a job function which businesses are not excelling at. And uh, the cost saving angle, again, early days to give any numbers to it, but businesses are open to adopting technology which in future would reduce their cost or improve their business. So
Got it.
I would say early days in terms of adoption, but great uh, early days in terms of number driven impact, but great adoption is something which is happening.
Okay. So can you also throw some light on the other use cases which you mentioned, which is essentially multi-party conversation or ops or other parts? Any interesting use cases or any interesting applications which you would like to share?
Yeah. So, like, if you, as a consumer, try to look at where and all and what and all type of conversations I've been having, a very simple use case which we are solving is roadside assistance for a customer which does roadside assistance. Their vehicle gets damaged somewhere in the middle of the wherever they're traveling, and as a consumer, you don't know what to do. Companies provide roadside assistance. Now, these roadside side assistance, they have a very fluctuation of volumes. So, for them to adopt a call center team it is a very difficult metric or decision. They would have about 500 calls if there are rains happening in Gujarat. They would have 1,000 calls coming in, and you cannot anticipate that. And on a normal day in winter in India, you would have less than 50 calls. So the variation is quite high. Then there are multiple steps to provide that roadside assistance. You need to get a towing vehicle. You need to give some advice on how to solve the vehicle issues. Understand what could have happened with the vehicle. Get other experts in those fields to solve for that query. So the urgency is higher, the anticipation is not calculated, and the method is complex. Like, this is the most difficult use case which even humans could do at 1,000, and that we are trying to solve. So yeah, like, as technology progresses in about a year, 2 years time, we would see many such complex use cases being solved. We have about 200, 300 such complex use cases which we are working on, and we will see a lot of AI agents doing that stuff.
Got it. So another thing which is very crucial in this area is the language support, right? So even if you say it is English support, English spoken in US is different from English spoken in India versus all the various regional accents and tones. So firstly, for a global market, how are you taking care of those variations? And secondly, beyond English, what are the kind of language supports? For example, if you talk of India, even if you say Hindi, there would be regional variations, right? Hindi spoken in Mumbai would be different from, say, Hindi spoken in Delhi. And there would be very specific local words for items or for things which the LLM needs to understand, right? So how do you manage all such things? A simple example, when you talk of roadside assistant in Mumbai, generally call the police as mama. That's the vernacular word for a policeman. Whereas in Delhi, it's called thulla, right? So for example, if the customer is kind of using such words, how are you making sure that AI understands what the customer is saying?
Honestly, technology can solve it. Just that it's the kind of use cases which company is doing, and how they solve it is a metric of understanding. But overall, technology can solve most of the things, because if we could understand X English, we can understand Y also. If we can understand X Hindi, we can understand Y Hindi also. And specific words is basically learning. And the whole point of AI is it can learn. Otherwise, it is just as good as a computer, any other software. So technology can solve it. Has it solved it already is something which again my earlier answer something it's early days. Those are use cases which will get solved once the adoption is at higher rate. Like uh, till now, the technology will only understand police or Hindi meaning of that police. They will not understand mama, tulla. Uh, in Tamil Nadu, they call bava something. So
Got it.
that those things are early days, but eventually it will get solved. Eventually, we will come to human-like, entirely human-like AI agents, which can even automate this podcast.
Got it. Another point specifically for inbound calls, and let's say this is for a hospital or such, or maybe it's some helpline, things like that, wherein emotions is also something which is very important to know, right? For example, if someone calls and you have got a trained operator on the other side, and you can understand that the person who's calling is in distress, right? From the intonation or the way he speaks. So, are the agentic agents also taking care of such things to recognize emotions from voice?
Yes, that is happening right now as we speak as well. Getting emotions is something which AI systems are getting excellent at because see, digitally everything is data. Even your emotion is a form of data. Your anger, your distress, your stress, your soft voice, your happiness is a form of data. It is some signals. If we are able to train from those signals, we get to the emotion. And we are forming emotion-based voice bots, which talk to you as you talk to them. So, if, for example, you are in a hurry, you are speaking things faster, want a faster resolution, automatically the speed of those AI agents increases. So there are a lot of it's like we are learning from humans how to be humans. It won't be possible on day one, but we would be able to reach good level of complexity in day 1000, and if possible, maybe extreme level of cohesiveness in day 2000.
Got it. Because I was reading somewhere, and the author kind of illustrated this point with a very nice example. He said, let's say there's an irate customer calling the credit card company, and from his tone, right? If you know that while he's talking from the tone, if you immediately pick up what's his problem, so immediately you know that okay, there's some credit card outstanding, and you immediately do analytics as the call is being answered and come up with some solution or so to kind of create customer delight. So such things can really help, right? For example, depending on the intonation or the emotional state, you have a different call flow or a different workflow for customer resolution. So that's really interesting. Any pitfalls or any guardrails which you feel that as an industry or as an AI practitioner, we need to have in such use cases so that there is nothing which goes wrong? Because of course we know about hallucinations in LLMs, but more so when you're talking of conversational AI, how do you what are the kind of guardrails which you implement? It would be interesting to know that as well.
So guardrails would be majorly application specific. What kind of applications is the AI used for? But normally there are enough tools available now to, like, LLMs solve for any extreme case. Like if someone asks how to make a bomb, those things are all solved for. Some things which will happen eventually is wrong answers where it is critical. For example, calling a hospital and LLM says this doctor is not available today, whereas the doctor was available. So for that, there has to be a very strict workflow mechanism of what happens with every answer of LLM which is critical. So that's where companies would make a case, like with AI agents and AI voice agents, where the highest value add would be is that if you're able to create a good back and forth mechanism with the answers which are produced by large language models and with the business case. If it's like one agent is talking and there is one agent who is listening to the conversation, so that everything is in place. And
Got it.
a lot will be done there.
Okay, got it. So there was a recent report which said that in enterprises, there might be enthusiasm for pilots, but beyond pilots, then there's a huge gap of adopting or making it mainstream. So do you see the gap reducing, or you still see some bit of skepticism from the enterprises when it comes to enterprise-wide adoption of such AI technologies?
There is huge gap. There is huge gap in terms of pilot to adoption. Like I would say, out of 10 Gen AI products which are getting piloted, hardly one would go to even regular scale adoption. And that is because the technology, like one advantage which software had was it was reliable. Even if it did just one work, we were sure that that one work would happen. For example, in an Excel, if you were to add 10 numbers uh, using a sum formula, it would be a very basic thing. It would be a simple thing which a human was doing. But it was 100% accurate. Like there was never a case when it was even 99.99%. So our entire flows are developed on a 100% accurate computer system and a non-accurate human being combining to do work, which is not the case with LLMs. So adoption will take time. There will be only certain areas where adoption will happen. There will be many areas where adoption will not happen by enterprises who they have a lot on the table. They would not take a risk of reducing cost by 5% to tell maybe some bad words on a call center.
Got it. Do you see that one of the reasons for that could also be tech hype? Because if you just rewind back, say 6 months or 2 years back, wherein blockchain was all the rage, right? And everyone was saying that you need to have a blockchain strategy, and blockchain is the answer to all your woes, etc., etc. And people were expecting that there will be a lot of blockchain adoption. But by the time enterprise kind of warms up to that, then you have got some new technology which comes up. So do you see that it could be a reason of too much hype from technology per se, wherein enterprises kind of have a pushback that let's see before this stabilizes and before it matures, and then let's take a call? Do you see that as a challenge?
Yeah, that is anyways going to happen. So, for example, when the best example I could give is any technology, even internet and e-commerce. Initial days. So blockchain would be a bad example to give because it was more hype and less substance. But other things like internet, commerce, e-commerce, and even quick commerce now, those were all hypes which people did not think that would be successful enough, but they created their own markets, and the incumbent players were not necessarily able to get the best value out of it. So one of the biggest challenges of AI is the reliability part, where it is not 100% accurate. It is in some cases 99, in some cases 70% accurate. So our whole thinking process and adoption process has to change, which the current generation, like people beyond 45, will take more time than a 20, 15-year-old person, because for them this is what they have experienced day one. Then they would design their systems around this. But for a 40, 45-year-old, and I'm talking about general, it is not in specific to someone, they have seen softwares to be perfect. For them, when the softwares or the systems become imperfect, they have larger issues, and they would think that we'll not go for those things. We would just make our existing system stronger. So adoption is going to be a challenge, but it is not a hype.
Got it. Got it. So great. So any business figures which you would like to share about the growth of calls.ai in terms of number of countries served, number of downloads, number of signups, customer base, anything which you can share?
We have about 1,000+ customers right now, mid-market small businesses in uh, 35 countries approx.
Okay.
And we are growing very fast in terms of pilots. As I told you, a lot of people are trying out pilots, fitting out use cases, uh, creating demos and things like that. Uh, and yeah, we see that some areas where we are very bullish on are certain to get disturbed. They are certain to change. It's just a matter of time. And we are technically very strong, like one of the strongest in terms of AI agents for business. Uh, and we are doing good amount of research on most of the points which are mentioned on the call. So uh, yeah, like we're growing good enough to actually solve uh, replacing human call centers with AI in whatever small big way we can.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks, Mohit. This gives a great perspective. And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. Do subscribe, share, and like this podcast. Consider giving it a 5-star rating if you like the content. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.